He told me this is a memorial when Jallianwala Bagh happened up north in Punjab. The same time in Perungamanallur, a place in Madurai, 16 people from a Kallar community, they were standing up against the British because this community was classified as a criminal tribe. They wanted the British to remove the whole community from the criminal tribe list. Same way in which Jallianwala Bagh happened, the British brought their troops and all those people were gunned down right in the middle of the road. Where is his memorial?
Kolahalas TV YouTube channel. இது வாய்மையின் எக்காலம்.
The opportunity to travel across the state, honoring some of the individuals. Just day before yesterday, along with our Tamil Nadu governor, we were in a small village near Erode, a place called Odanilai. Odanilai is a place with about 50 houses now. We were there to celebrate the birth anniversary of a warrior called Dheeran Chinnamalai, the 257th birth anniversary. We were right in his village. There was a foundation, COSEC, which was organizing this festival. So going there, looking at his life, I could very clearly see Dheeran Chinnamalai in his element. 257 years before born, at 35th year, he was able to enter into an alliance with Tipu Sultan, able to merge the army, take on the British near Coimbatore, successfully defeating them once, and finally getting caught and hanged. And all those places are small rudimentary places in Indian history now. We got to go search for that area. Likewise, the last 1 year, my journey as the BJP state president of Tamil Nadu, and during the Asadika Amrit Mahotsav celebration, I had the privilege to travel across the nook and cranny of Tamil Nadu, many places. There is a place called Nelkatta and Seval in Tenkasi. It's a small village. You go there, you will be amazed to stand in the same land where Pulitevar, a great warrior, took on the British. It's a small village now. There is a small memorial built for him. But mightily all these people took on the British. I'm talking of 200 years back, 250 years back, knowing fully well they'll be captured, they will be killed, because British had the very famous war strategy of picking their enemies one at a time, finishing them, then going and searching for the next enemy. So all those people in this year-long celebration are coming out in the open, and we are reading them, especially our young generation, who were taught a particular history that these people are great, they are great, and India is like this. Looking at our brave men and women 250, 300 years far, living a life with ethics, with honesty, with dharma. So that is why recently I was reading an article which says, India is supposed to be a civilizational state. But last 70 years or so, we are portraying our nation as a nation state. A civilizational state has to have dharma as this root. It has to preserve its culture. Any nation which is rightfully doing it will be a civilizational state. There are hardly very few civilizational states in this world. And India can proudly claim as one of the preeminent civilizational states in existence now. And these are all the people who are celebrating during this Asadika Amrit Mahotsav. All those people, the culture that they brought out in the open, the values that they stood for, the dharma for which they fought, they have made our country to be a civilizational state in which we are living as the proud citizen of our country here. Any place we travel now, if we take some time out, we listen to the history of this place, 100% I can tell you all the places from which we come from, we can see one history somewhere hiding there. There is not a place in our country which doesn't have an history. Most of the villages have a glorious history of 1,000 years. Many of our village records, it dates back to British time, even before the oral record, the history that we can keep hearing. No other country can claim that any village where even now 100, 200 people live can claim to 1,000 years of history. And that is why I feel very happy some of the authors, some of the books that is being discussed here, it rightly points to that element. I was also very curious to see an author talking about India's lost gods. Rightfully, after Narendra Modi ji has taken over as India's Prime Minister, 225 idols belonging to our country, some dating back thousands of years, repatriated and brought back to our country, and many of those idols belong to Tamil Nadu. 16th century, 15th century, some even 12th century idols, looted, taken out of the country at different points of time. It took a prime minister 8 years, he has brought about 225 artifacts and counting. Last 70 years, if we count the number of artifacts that is brought into our country, I think it is less than 50. This clearly shows the person sitting at the top of affairs, a person running a country, what ethos with which they are seeing a country. All those idols are not some piece that is brought into our country and kept into a museum, or even some idols taken into a temple. And in Tamil Nadu, in some places, the worship has also begun. After 2 centuries, there is an idol, a Shiva, the worship has begun now. It is not for that. It is very importantly to convey a message. It's a civilizational country. All the artifacts that we are bringing back, it is giving back our own history. I'm just giving you one thing which I found a speaker talking about it tomorrow. Likewise, this Lit Fest is very, very important. We have seen the trouble the organizers have taken in the first year, the second year to make this happen. The only thing people are angry at, the organizers are angry at this Lit Fest in Puducherry because they're talking of an history that was hidden for a pretty long time. They don't want all these things to come out. They don't want people to talk, or importantly, they don't want people to hear. That is why this 4th edition, I'm very happy it has coincided with 2 important things: 75th year of independence and 150th year of Sri Aurobindo's birth anniversary. You will not believe, a year back when I was in Madurai, our district president took me to a place. He said, "You got to come to a memorial and pay your respects." I said, "What is that?" He told me there is a memorial called Perungamanallur Pillar, right in the heart of Madurai. You got to come here. I said, "I've never read in my history book what is this memorial." He told me this is a memorial when Jallianwala Bagh happened up north in Punjab. The same time in Perungamanallur, a place in Madurai, 16 people from a Kallar community, they were standing up against the British because this community was classified as a criminal tribe. They wanted the British to remove the whole community from the criminal tribe list. Same way in which Jallianwala Bagh happened, the British brought their troops and all those people were gunned down right in the middle of the road. There is this memorial. But unfortunately, many of our textbooks don't talk about it. And I'm very glad after the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebration has happened, it is forcing a lot of district administration, a lot of government officials to go there, hunt for all those memorials, to honor, in many instances, even to find the offsprings, the current generation of freedom fighters, to bring them and honor them in each of the stage. I think that is the greatest contribution this 1 year of this celebration has done. And now when Pondy Lit Fest is doing this today, tomorrow and day after, it is going to put in the public domain a lot of new history, original history, a lot of history that is supposed to be told, and importantly, some of the finest books that is available here. This, I believe, will give a course correction to our country. This course correction is a must, especially for our young generation. They have to understand the arc of history has to always bend towards moral justice. I remember politician Barack Obama keep mentioning this particular line. The arc of history has to go towards moral justice. And this particular year, what our Honorable Prime Minister and the government is doing, a lot of moral justice is happening. By this new history, not only are we learning about ourselves, but more importantly, we are trying to discover ourselves, discover this country, discover this great land, discover the ethos of this land, discover the dharma of this land. I'm not going to bore you with the other tall freedom fighters in Tamil Nadu. So many of them very unfortunate. The great Veeramangai Rani Velu Nachiyar, she lived 70 years before Jhansi Rani. Jhansi Rani is a very, very important individual in our country, brave warrior. History books have given her adequate justice by glorifying, by putting it in proper perspective, what Jhansi Rani has done. But Rani Veeramangai Velu Nachiyar, who lived 70 years before Jhansi Rani, is the only king, the only queen who has taken on the British, got defeated, came back, defeated the British and ruled for 17 years. When we read the history, everywhere we see the British guys defeating somebody by treachery, by killing them, probably taking over their territory. But nowhere we have seen, I'm talking of 251 years before, nowhere we have seen a queen losing her husband, losing her child, taking over the territory, taking on the British East India Company, getting defeated, coming back after 7 years, defeating them, taking over her territory and ruling for 17 years. But unfortunately, all it took was the Narendra Modi ji government to come here and start a train at least called the Veeramangai Velunachiyar Express, at least a train to honor her memory. But when we go to Shivagangai, the place where she ruled, where she lived, but very unfortunate to see the state governments or the local district administration don't make effort to do it. So I have got a lot of things to say, but I am not getting into that. Coming to Sri Aurobindo ji's 150th birth anniversary, a very important discussion he has brought into the public domain. We all know he was a hardcore reactionary, a person who lived in UK for about 14 years, who lived there to serve our country by taking the civil services route, came back to Baroda, worked as a government officer in different capacities. Later, he was there in the Alipur conspiracy, he was in jail for some time. He was very clear with his ideology. He felt revolution is the only way forward to bring back the glory of this nation. But he chose to come back to Pondicherry, take the spiritual recourse, as our Prime Minister very memorably mentioned recently in December 2021 in the first meeting of the high-level committee. He mentioned the two aspects of Aurobindo's philosophy of revolution and evolution are of crucial importance now, and they should be emphasized. The youth should be encouraged towards the concept of greatness as embodied in the philosophy of Nar to Narayanan to create a Maha Manav as propounded by Sri Aurobindo. Nowhere is this powerful thought more important than today, especially in the 150th year of his birth, when the whole of country is into a bit of spiritual awakening and all of us are looking at life in a very different prism than the materialistic life that many of us are accustomed to over a point of time, over different influences that we had. So this is a very important time to take his thought, especially to the younger generation. I'm also very happy to know in this Pondicherry Lit Fest, some 2-3 special books are getting released today, tomorrow, day after, what I saw from the manual about his life. And I'm very happy. Let this book come to the public domain, especially for the younger audience. Let us all read it and let us all get more evolved awakening. Especially Aurobindoji talks about the fifth stage. The fifth stage, he talks about the spiritual or the super mental education. Probably we are in the physical education, or he talks about the 5 classification of the human nature. The physical education, the vital education, mental education, psychic education, and the spiritual or super mental education. Probably I can talk for myself. We are there in the first stage or second stage or probably third stage. Now as a country, if we all aim to get into the 4th stage where we talk about the psychic education and the 5th stage where it talks about the spiritual or super mental education, then just think about the potential we as a country of 135 crore people can deliver. And Aurobindoji also rightly said, in his 75th year when India got independence, he said, the day when India is getting independence is the first day for India becoming a Vishwaguru, what in English we call as a global superpower. He said that is the first day in the path. 75 years we have traveled in that path, and probably we are right there now before me, our Navshimaya Manna. That is why I kept him for the Puducherry Home Minister. Very rightfully emphasized. Now what we are doing, not only have we put 200 crore vaccine, but more than 100 plus countries, our vaccines are going. Our vaccines are not seeing which country is a friend of India, which country is an enemy of India, which country has come to war with India, or which country has colonized India, or which country has created corporations that has created famine in India. We are not doing that. Our vaccine is going in the path of moral dharma. All the great men that we have spoken, who have lived 200 years, 250 years, whose dharma was the essence of this country by which we are claiming as a civilizational state. Maybe the other countries have a materialistic worldview. For them, they want to hoard vaccines. They want to hoard more than what they want. And probably they want to give it to their friends and allies. But India was the first country which never got into hoarding. A lot of political parties, to take a political shot, they were criticizing our Honorable Prime Minister for the vaccine diplomacy. Why are you giving vaccines to others? We should hoard it. We should keep 3x, 4x, 5x times. But our Prime Minister, he behaved exactly how the dharma of this land wanted him to behave. 100 plus countries, vaccine going to every single country who needed it. Even for some countries who can't afford the pricing. The big countries were cornering the market. They were having the market skimming price, especially the African countries, our neighbors from Nepal, Sri Lanka. Our vaccines was going everywhere. And more importantly, the previous British Prime Minister, when he was there in New Delhi, he was mentioning a statement. He said, Boris Johnson ji, he said, when I got COVID and I was admitted in the ICU, it is the Indian manufactured vaccine that helped me. I think he cheekily did not add, maybe an Indian Malayali nurse who was there also to help him. And the moral supremacy of our country, a British Prime Minister coming to the same land, talking, and maybe his predecessor many years before, 1947 when we were getting independence, what did they say? They said it's a small line, more like an equator. It is going to get dismantled into pieces by its vociferous tendency. That is what the great Winston Churchill mentioned, that his predecessor mentioned. Now his follower, the Prime Minister of Britain, coming to Delhi, standing here and mentioning, the Indian manufactured vaccine has saved me. So India has already emerged as a moral superpower. Everybody is looking at us. Everybody. Even when there is a Russia-Ukraine war, gone are the days when people wanted the comments of US. Gone are the days when people wanted the comment of a P5 nation. Now everybody is looking at India to see what is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stand on Russia or on Ukraine. That is the kind of moral superpower we have reclaimed in the last 8 years. Not only am I going to stop here. No, we have some kind of vaccine we have given. No. More than that. The simple things that India is known for, but the great things. Yoga. This year, the International Yoga Day, 194 plus countries officially adopting the International Day of Yoga, taking the yoga to all their streets, to all their studios, to all their capitals, and people taking yoga. The simple, humble Ayurveda finding its place across the world. Why not? Our Khadi, the KVIC Corporation this year, hitting a revenue of 1 lakh crore rupee in the last 8 years. This year we have hit that landmark. Everything that is associated with our country, it is finding a new resurgence. All over the world people are looking at it. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. In Tirukural, Tiruvalluvar used to say, before a country can lay claim to fame that I am a superpower, the country has to become a moral superpower. Before becoming a moral superpower, the ruler has to rule with morals. The ruler has to rule with dharma. Luckily, we have a Prime Minister who is an epitome of dharma. Epitome of dharma. When all the place in the world, when we are looking at leaders who are short-sighted, leaders who are election-focused, leaders who have become like a demagogic leaders who wants to say anything and everything and to get votes. We have a Prime Minister for the last 8 years who is ruling by his dharma. All the decisions that he has taken, all the decisions in the last 8 years has got the essence of dharma with it. So the next, like Saint Tiruvalluvar said, once we have a ruler with dharma, then the moral supremacy will follow, which we are already seeing it. Then we will rightfully claim as we are the world's Vishwaguru. As a Tamilian, I keep telling everywhere, we have a spiritual land, Tamil Nadu. Everywhere you go, you'll be very surprised by the kind of temples we have. Tamil Nadu, our state, has got 4 lakh plus temples. And we have 1,000-year-old temples, is around 415 plus. The HRNC department, 1,000-year plus temple is alone 415. That is a kind of rich, glorious history. The Alvars, the Nayanmars, the great saints, the patrons, the kings who lived here, who patronaged art and culture. Tamil Nadu also, we have gone into a moral decay for some time because of the influences, because of the philosophy, because of a lot of unwanted things. Some smart political leaders who are able to sell their words to people and able to buy them, they were ruling Tamil Nadu for a long time. We are also very happy, though BJP is not in power there, but because of Modiji's influence, because of the dharmic ruler in Delhi, many of our Tamil brethren are rediscovering what the original Tamil Holy Land is all about. That gives us a lot of hope, that gives us a lot of encouragement, it gives us a lot of courage for India to become a Vishwaguru. I keep telling as a proud Tamilian, Tamil Nadu has to become a Vishwaguru for India. Because last time, when Vivek Agnihotriji was in Chennai, he was making a very pertinent comment. He said, there are two spiritual centers that was balancing India for a long time. One was the Kashmir there, one was Tamil Nadu here. When these two centers of spirituality was balancing this land, everything was great. We lost Kashmir spirituality a long time back, which we are reclaiming it now. Probably it will take few more years or a few more decades for Kashmir to rightfully emerge as one spiritual powerhouse. Probably Tamil Nadu is right now not there where I can claim Tamil Nadu will also become a spiritual superpower very soon. But it's a matter of time before Tamil Nadu will also get back to its original root. When these two centers emerge, Kashmir and Tamil Nadu, then it's a matter of time India will become a Vishwaguru. With these words, I thank the organizers for inviting me and all the hardworking volunteers who are taking pains to make sure this Pondicherry Lit Fest is put in the global map. It's already in the global map in its 4th year. Many literary festivals needs a lot of time to mature, to get into that kind of an audience. But this fest has done it in the 4th year, which is a matter of pride for all of us. I thank all of you for coming here and importantly for giving me an opportunity to speak in front of you. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Kolahalas TV YouTube சேனல் இது வாய்மையின் எக்காலம்.